A black teen sprinter faces racist jocks, exposing their hate in a blazing track showdown. Like and subscribe to catch every heart-pounding step of this fight for justice in our latest video. Jaden's heart slammed against his ribs as Bryce's fist crashed into the locker beside his head, the metal denting with a screech that silenced the crowded hallway of Westridge High. "Go back to Africa," Charity Case, the quarterback, snarled, ripping Jaden's running shoes from his grip, his Letterman jacket a badge of untouchable power. The 16-year-old black sprinter, new on a track scholarship, stood frozen, his pulse a war drum. The jeers of Bryce's football crew, Cole, Derek, and Mason, ringing like shrapnel. "You don't belong here," Bryce spat, shoving Jaden into the locker, the impact jarring his spine, his backpack sliding to the floor. Students gawked, some laughing, others filming, their phones a jury of cowards. Jaden's fists clenched, his scholarship, his escape from a crumbling neighborhood teetering on a knife's edge. One swing could end it all, but surrender meant erasing himself. "Give 'em back," he growled, voice low, eyes boring into Bryce's smirk. Cole laughed, tossing the shoes into a trash can, the thud a gunshot. "Fetch, boy." He sneered, the word a whip, and Jaden's blood boiled, history's weight crushing his chest. Bryce stepped closer, his breath hot. "Say it again, and you're done." Jaden had held his ground, memorizing their faces, Bryce's cruel jaw, Cole's buzz cut, Derek's gold chain, Mason's scarred knuckles, knowing this was war. The bell screamed, but the crowd lingered, hungry for blood. Bryce smirked, slamming the shoes deeper into the trash, then strode off, his crew's laughter a blade in Jaden's back. Alone, numb, Jaden yanked the shoes free, grime staining his hands, rage choking him. He wiped them clean, his mind racing, lose the scholarship, lose his future. Let this slide, lose his soul. The locker room reeked of sweat and menace as Jaden changed for track. His first practice under Westridge's manicured dome. Coach Randall, all clipboard and ambition, barked, "New kid, don't embarrass me," his eyes glinting with trophy lust. On the track, Jaden's legs exploded, his 400-meter sprint a blur, outpacing veterans. The finish line his only friend. Teammates stared. Randall's pen froze, his grunt sharp, "Keep that up, kid." But from the bleachers, Bryce's crew watched, their glares venomous. Mason tossing a pebble that clipped Jaden's ankle, a silent threat. Jaden ignored it, his strides a vow they wouldn't break him. In history class, Miss Ellis, a teacher with fire in her eyes, pulled him aside. "I saw the hallway," she whispered, her voice steel. "You're stronger than their hate." Jaden's throat tightened, her words a spark. As class ended, Mia, a fierce girl clutching a notebook, cornered him. "I'm exposing the jocks," she hissed, eyes blazing. "They've bullied everyone. Join us." Jaden paused, the scholarship's shadow heavy, but nodded. "I'm in." Mia's grin was a weapon, her number scrawled on his hand. Outside, Miss Carter, the janitor, swept the hall, his warm eyes catching Jaden's. "Chin up, son," he said, his voice a balm. Jaden forced a nod, but the storm wasn't over. At lunch, a phone flashed a meme of Jaden's face on a monkey, captioned "Westridge's Jungle Boy." Bryce's crew cackling at the epicenter. Jaden's tray shook, his fork bending, but he walked out, their taunts a swarm. That night, in his cramped apartment, his mother's night shift leaving him alone, Jaden paced, the trashed shoes a burning reminder. He texted Mia, who shot back, "Meet Ethan, tech whiz, cameras tomorrow." Jaden's blood surged, proof could flip the game, but one slip could ruin him. Dawn broke, and Jaden met Mia and Ethan, a wiry kid with a laptop and jittery hands, in the deserted locker room. Ethan rigged a micro camera in a vent, its lens a hidden eye, catches everything, he whispered. But Boots echoed Bryce. Early, his voice dripping slurs as he rummaged a locker, stealing Corey. The trio ducked behind benches, hearts hammering, the air thick with danger. Bryce paused, his head tilting toward the vent, suspicion flaring. Jaden acted, kicking a stray bottle, the clatter pulling Bryce's gaze. He cursed, storming out, oblivious to the camera. The trio exhaled, the device live, recording. School was a gauntlet. Bryce's crew bumped Jaden in halls, Cole spilling soda on his shoes, the crowd snickering. Jaden stared Cole down, his voice ice. You'll pay for that. Cole's smirk faltered, a crack in his armor. Practice was hell. Randall's drills brutal, but Jaden shattered his own 400-meter time, Randall's eyes gleaming with greed. Bryce's crew lingered, Derek tossing a coin that grazed Jaden's temple, blood trickling. Jaden wiped it, his glare a promise. Mister. Carter handed him a clean rag, his whisper firm. You're bigger than them. Jaden. The words anchored him, but danger stalked. On the bus home, Jaden's phone lit up a new meme, his face on a chained slave. Bryce's name blatant. Fury choked him, but Mia's text cut through camera caught of gold. Check, now. At home, Waiton joined Maya and Ethan online. The footage raw Bryce, Cole, and Mason. Midnight, rigging a locker room prank with racist signs. Their laughter venomous. Jaden's fists balled, his choice cleared dignity over silence. As he laced his shoes, the city's pulse a battle cry. Jaden knew the race for justice was on, and he'd run it to win. Jaden's sneakers pounded the pavement outside Westridge High, his breath sharp in the dawn chill as he dodged early commuters. His mind replaying the locker room footage Bryce and his jock crew, laughing, rigging racist signs in the dead of night. The 16-year-old sprinter's fists clenched, the weight of his scholarship battling the fire in his chest. Yesterday's hallway clash, Bryce's slurs, the stolen shoes. The meme branding him a jungle boy had lit a fuse, and the camera hidden by Mia and Ethan was their first strike back. But one slip, and Jaden's future was dust. He slipped into the school's side entrance, meeting Mia, her notebook clutched tight, and Ethan, his laptop glowing faintly in the dim hall. Footage is gold, Mia whispered, her eyes fierce. They're planning something worse tonight. Ethan nodded, adjusting his glasses, his voice low. Camera's still live, but we need more texts, emails, anything to nail them. Jaden's jaw tightened. The jock's untouchable status, backed by Bryce's donor dad, meant proof had to be ironclad. They moved to the locker room, the air thick with yesterday's sweat, checking the camera's vent hideout. Ethan's fingers trembled, tweaking the lens. When Boots echoed Cole, Bryce's right hand, early for weights, his buzz cut glinting under the lights. The trio dove behind lockers, Jaden's heart slamming, the metal cold against his back. Cole rummaged, muttering, that kid's done, then left, oblivious to the camera. They exhaled, but the close call burned. We're playing with fire, Jaden said, his voice low. Mia's grin was defiant. Good, let's burn them down. At breakfast, the cafeteria buzzed, but Jaden felt eyes Bryce's crew at their table, smirking, phones flashing with a new meme. Jaden's face on a chained figure, captioned Westridge's slave. Laughter stabbed, and Jaden's tray shook. But Ms. Ellis, passing by, caught his eye, her nod steadying him. He sat with Mia and Ethan, their whispers urgent. Ethan hacked the school's Wi-Fi log, tracing the meme to Cole's phone, a digital fingerprint. We link this to the footage. They're toast, Ethan said. But Jaden knew it wasn't enough. Bryce's crew thrived on power, not just pranks. In English class, Bryce dropped his pen, kicking it into Jaden's desk, his smirk daring a reaction. Jaden kicked it back, his stare ice, the room tensing. Watch yourself. Charity case, Bryce hissed, but Jaden held firm, his silence a weapon. After class, Mia pulled Jaden aside. They're meeting in the locker room tonight, Midnight. Ethan's rigging a second camera. Jaden's pulse spiked another chance. Another risk. Track practice was a crucible. Coach Randall's shouts relentless. Faster. Jaden. You're my ticket to state, he barked, his ambition raw. Jaden tore through the 400-meter, his legs a blur, outpacing teammates. But Bryce's crew loitered, Derek tossing a water bottle that splashed Jaden's shoes, the crowd snickering. Jaden wiped it off, his glare locking with Derek's, a promise unspoken. Randall didn't notice, his eyes on the stopwatch. But Mr. Carter, sweeping nearby, handed Jaden a towel. His whisper firm, "You're more than their game." The words fueled Jaden, but danger was closing. That evening, Jaden met Mia and Ethan behind the gym. The school a dark silhouette. Ethan carried a backpack of tech cameras, mics, a signal jammer. "If they spot us, we're dead," he muttered. But Mia's voice was steel. "They won't." They crept into the locker room. The air stale, Ethan climbing to plant a second camera in a ceiling tile, its lens catching the benches. Jaden stood guard, his bike chain tucked in his belt, every creak a threat. A door slams Bryce, Cole, and Mason. Early, their voices low, plotting. "We hit him hard tonight," Bryce growled, holding a marker, sketching slurs on a locker. The trio froze, Jaden signaling silence, his heart a jackhammer. Ethan fumbled, a screwdriver clattering, and Bryce's head snapped up. "Who's there?" he barked, striding toward the shadows. Jaden acted, tossing a gym towel across the room, the thud pulling Bryce's gaze. "Damn rats," Cole muttered, and they resumed, oblivious. The cameras rolling. The trio slipped out, panting, the footage a ticking bomb. At home, Jaden's apartment was quiet, his mother's shift stretching late. He linked with Mia and Ethan online, the new footage searing Bryce defacing lockers, Cole taping racist signs, Mason laughing, their plan clear a midnight prank to humiliate Jaden. "We've got them," Mia said, but Jaden's gut churned. "Not yet. They'll twist it. Blame us." Ethan nodded, pulling up Cole's text, hacked from the school server. "Make him quit." The evidence was piling, but the jock's power was a fortress. The next morning, Jaden arrived to chaos, his locker trashed, paint spelling, "Go home" across it, Bryce's crew smirking from the hall. Ms. Ellis saw, her face tight. But the principal, Mr. Hargrove, passed by, his glance dismissive. "Boys will be boys," he muttered. His priority, the school's image. Jaden's rage flared, but Mia's text grounded him. "Tonight's footage is ready. We hit them soon." Practice was brutal. Randall pushing Jaden to exhaustion, his shouts greedy. Jaden ran, breaking records, but Bryce's crew escalated. Mason tripped, his elbow slamming Jaden's ribs, pain flaring. Jaden staggered, but stood, his glare silencing Mason's laugh. Mr. Carter watched, his nod a quiet strength. After practice, Jaden found a note in his bag, Bryce's scrawl, "Quit, or you're done." He showed Mia and Ethan, their faces grim. "They're scared," Ethan said, syncing the cameras for tonight's trap. As Jaden boarded the bus home, a brick sailed through the window, grazing his shoulder, glass shattering. Bryce's crew sped by in a truck, their laughter fading. Jaden's blood dripped, but his resolve hardened. The cameras were live, the footage growing, and the jocks were slipping. He texted Mia, "We end this." The city's pulse was his heartbeat, the fight for dignity his race, and Jaden was ready to sprint. Jaden's legs burned as he tore down the West Ridge High track, the 400-meter oval a blur beneath his sneakers. The morning air sharp in his lungs. His strides devoured the final curve, and he crossed the finish line. Chest heaving, the stopwatch in Coach Randall's hand freezing at 46.8 seconds, a new school record. Teammates gaped, their applause hesitant, but Randall's eyes glinted with greed. "You're my star, kid," he barked, clipboard clutched like a trophy, but Jaden's triumph was a spark in a powder keg. From the bleachers, Bryce and his jock, crew Cole, Derek, and Mason glared, their Letterman jackets a wall of menace, their whispers a blade. The 16-year-old black sprinter, still raw from yesterday's brick through the bus window, felt their hate like a noose. The locker room footage, now piling up thanks to Mia and Ethan's hidden cameras, showed Bryce's crew planning worse racist pranks to break him, but Jaden knew one wrong move could cost his scholarship. He wiped sweat, his resolve steel, the fight for dignity, his true race. In the locker room, Jaden found his locker defaced again, black paint scrawling "Go home" across the metal, the stench of spray paint choking. Cole's buzz cut flashed in his mind, the jock's smirk a signature. Jaden's fist clenched. "But Miss..." Elois's words echoed, "You're stronger than their hate." He grabbed his bag, dodging teammates' stares, and slipped out, texting Mia and Ethan, "Check the cameras. They're moving tonight." At lunch, Mia, her notebook a shield, slid beside him. "Footage is dynamite," she whispered. Bryce and Cole were at it again, more signs. "Slurs on your locker." Ethan, hunched over his laptop, added, "But the second camera glitched, flickered off for 10 minutes. We might have missed something." Jaden's gut twisted. A gap in the evidence could doom them. "Fix it," he said, voice low. "They're escalating." The cafeteria buzzed, but Bryce's crew was absent, their table empty, a bad sign. A freshman approached, nervous, slipping Jaden a note midnight. "Locker room, you're done." Bryce's scrawl was unmistakable. Jaden showed Mia and Ethan, their faces grim. "They're baiting you." Mia said, "We need that camera back online." Ethan nodded, already typing. "I'll remote reboot it tonight." History class was a refuge. Ms. Ellis's lecture on civil rights cutting deep. She caught Jaden's eye, her nod firm, but Bryce sat 2 rows back, his pen tapping, his smirk a dare. After class, Bryce bumped Jaden, his elbow jabbing Jaden's ribs, pain flaring. "Keep running, boy," he hissed, the word venomous. Jaden's fists twitched, but he walked away, his silence a calculated strike. Outside, Mr. Carter, the janitor, swept the hall, his voice soft. "You're making waves, son. Stay safe, be." Jaden nodded, the warning heavy. Track practice was brutal. Randall pushing Jaden harder, his shouts relentless. "State's watching. Kid, don't choke." Jaden ran, his record-breaking pace a defiance, but the jocks appeared, loitering by the fence. Derek tossed a rock, grazing Jaden's calf, blood trickling. Jaden staggered, but kept running, his glare locking with Derek's. The crowd silent. Randall didn't see, his focus on the clock, but Mr. Carter, nearby, frowned, his broom still. After practice, Jaden met Mia and Ethan behind the gym, the dusk casting long shadows. Ethan's laptop showed the rebooted camera, its feed flickering but live. "It's back," he said, but his voice shook. "If they spot it, we're screwed." Mia's eyes blazed. "We won't let them. Tonight's their last mistake." They planned to monitor the feed remotely, catching Bryce's midnight plot. Jaden's shoulder ached from the brick, but his resolve was iron. "We get this. We bury them," he said. They split up, Jaden heading home, the city's hum a war drum. In his apartment, his mother's shift keeping her late. Jaden watched the camera feed on his phone, the locker room dark, silent. At 11:55, shadows moved Bryce, Cole, and Mason, their voices low, vicious. "He's done after this." Bryce growled, pulling out spray cans, scrawling slurs on lockers. Cole taping a sign, "No blacks allowed." Jaden's blood boiled, the footage gold, But the camera flickered again. Its battery dying. No, Jaden hissed. Texting Ethan, fix it now. Ethan, hacking from home, rebooted it, the feed stabilizing. But Bryce paused, his head tilting toward the vent. You hear that, he said, climbing a bench, his hand inches from the camera. Jaden's heart stopped. But Mia, monitoring nearby, acted fast, triggering a fire alarm from her phone. Sirens wailed, and Bryce jumped down, cursing, the jocks bolting as security lights flashed. The feed held, the evidence safe. Jaden exhaled, his hands shaking. The close call a knife's edge. The next morning, Jaden arrived to chaos, his locker now smeared with red paint. Leave or die scrawled. Bryce's crew smirking from the hall. The principal, Mr. Hargrove, passed, his glance cold, muttering, clean it up. Jaden's rage surged, but Miss Ellis pulled him aside. They're scared. Jaden, keep fighting. Her words grounded him. But the jocks weren't done. At practice, Randall announced a pep rally race. Jaden versus the jocks, his voice hungry. Show 'em, kid. Jaden nodded. But Bryce's crew closed in after. Cole whispering, you'll crash and burn. Jaden shoved past, his shoulder clipping Cole's, the jocks stumbling, his crew tensing. Mr. Carter watched, his nod firm, handing Jaden a water bottle. You're close, son. The gesture steadied Jaden, but danger was a shadow. On the bus home, Jaden's phone buzzed Mia's text. Footage is locked. They're planning something big tonight. Then a new video hit his inbox, Jaden's sprint, edited with monkey sounds. Bryce's name blatant. Jaden's fists balled, but Ethan's reply cut through. We've got their texts. They're done. The evidence was a fortress, but the jocks were a storm, and Jaden was in the eye. He laced his shoes, the city's pulse his rhythm, ready to run through hell to win. Jaden's sneakers gripped the track, his heart a piston as he stretched under Westridge High's stadium lights. The pep rally crowd buzzing in the stands. Coach Randall's voice boomed. This race seals your shot at state. Jaden, but his eyes screamed trophies, not pride. The 16-year-old black sprinter, bruised from the jocks' brick attack, knew this wasn't just a race, it was war. Bryce and his football crew, Cole, Derek, and Mason lurked by the sidelines, their letterman jackets a taunt, their smirks promising sabotage. The hidden cameras, rigged by Mia and Ethan, held damning footage of their racist pranks. And tonight, Mia planned to live stream it during the race, exposing them to the school. But Jaden's scholarship hung by a thread, and one misstep could snap it. He scanned the crowd, spotting Mia in the press box, her laptop ready, and Ethan, hunched near the track, tweaking a spare starting block. Bryce's crew eyed them, suspicion flaring, and Jaden's gut churned. Something was off. In the locker room earlier, Jaden had found his starting block slick with oil, a trap to make him slip. Ethan, quick with a rag, swapped them for clean ones, whispering, they're playing dirty. Jaden nodded, his jaw tight. The note from Bryce, quit, or you're done, burning in his pocket. The principal, Mr. Hargrove, strutted past, his suit crisp, his priority the school's image, not justice. Ms. Ellis, in the stands, caught Jaden's eye, her nod fierce, while Mr. Carter, the janitor, swept nearby. His quiet, you got this, son, a lifeline. The announcer's voice crackled. 400-meter challenge, Jaden Carter versus Westridge's finest. The crowd roared, phones raised, but Bryce's crew closed in, Cole accidentally bumping Jaden's shoulder, his whisper venomous, you'll crash, boy. Jaden shoved back, his voice ice, try me. The tension snapped like a wire, teammates pulling them apart. Randall barking, save it for the track. Jaden lined up, his block solid. But Bryce's smirk from the rival lane was a blade. The starter's pistol fired, and Jaden exploded, his strides carving the track. The crowd a blur. Bryce matched him, his bulk a shadow, But Jaden's speed was a gift, his legs a storm. Halfway, Derek, on the sidelines, tossed a water bottle, aiming for Jaden's path. But Jaden leaped, dodging, his rhythm unbroken. The crowd gasped, phones flashing, and Jaden pushed harder, rounding the final curve. Bryce fading, but the jocks weren't done, Mason. Near the finish, dropped a metal spike, its glint deadly. Ethan, alert, dove, snatching it before Jaden's foot landed, the crowd missing the sabotage. But Jaden saw, his heart hammering. He crossed the line first, 46.5 seconds, shattering his own record. The stands erupting. Randall pumped a fist, but Jaden's eyes locked on Mia, her signal clear. It was time. The giant screen flickered, and Mia's live stream cut from the race to the locker room footage. Bryce, Cole, and Mason. Midnight, spray painting slurs, taping signs, no blacks allowed. Gasps swept the crowd, parents standing, students shouting, phones capturing every second. Bryce froze, his face pale, but charged the press box, roaring. Its fake Cole and Derek followed, shoving through the crowd. But Miss Ellis and a group of teachers blocked them, their faces stone. Hargrove stormed over, his voice shrill. Turn it off, but the crowd booed, their anger a wave. Jaden stood on the track, chest heaving, the truth a wildfire. Bryce broke through, lunging at Jaden, his fist swinging. But Jaden dodged, his track-honed reflexes sharp, tripping Bryce with a low sweep, sending him sprawling. The crowd surged, teammates restraining Bryce, his curses drowned by cheers for Jaden. Ethan sprinted to Jaden, panting. We did it, but Mia's voice crackled over the speakers. This is Westridge's shame. Demand justice. Parents yelled. Donors whispered. The school's facade cracking. Hargrove, red-faced, tried to speak, but a mother shouted, suspend them, and the chant spread. Jaden caught Miss Ellis's eye, her pride a beacon, and Mr. Carter's nod, his broom still, a quiet victory. But the jocks weren't done. As the rally ended, Cole slipped into the equipment room, Jaden spotting him through the chaos. He signaled Ethan, and they followed, Mia trailing, her phone recording. Inside, Cole was rigging Jaden's spare shoes with glass shards, his hands shaking. You're dead, he snarled, spotting Jaden, and lunged, a wrench in hand. Jaden ducked, the wrench grazing his arm, blood welling, but Ethan tackled Cole, pinning him, Mia filming. Got you, she said, her voice steel. Security burst in, cuffing Cole, his curses fading. But Jaden knew Bryce was still out there. His crew fractured, but not broken. Back on the field. Hargrove pulled Jaden aside, his voice low. You're stirring trouble. Son, think of your scholarship. Jaden stood tall, his voice firm. I'm thinking of what's right. Miss Ellis overheard, her smile fierce, and Mr. Carter clapped Jaden's shoulder, his whisper steady. You're changing this place. That night, Jaden's apartment was quiet, his mother's shift late, but his phone buzzed Mia's text, videos viral. They're done. Ethan sent a hacked email from Bryce's dad, pressuring Hargrove to bury the scandal. Jaden's ribs ached, his arm bandaged, but his spirit soared. The footage was a fortress, the live stream a hammer, but the jock's power was a hydra, and Bryce's silence was a storm brewing. Practice loomed, the state championship nearing, and Jaden knew the real race was far from over. He laced his shoes, the city's pulses rhythm, ready to sprint through fire to win. Jaden's chest heaved as he stood on the West Ridge High track, the pep rally's cheers fading into a roar of outrage. The giant screen still looping Mia's live-streamed footage, Bryce, Cole, and Mason defacing lockers with slurs. Their racist prank exposed to hundreds of students, parents, and donors. The 16-year-old black sprinter, sweat-soaked from shattering the 400-meter record, felt the air crackle. his scholarship teetering under the weight of truth. Bryce's crew, their Letterman jackets, now a mark of shame, seethed in the stands. Bryce's face pale, his fists clenched as parents shouted, "Suspend them!" Principal Hargrove, his suit rumpled, stormed the press box, barking, "Shut it down," but Mia, her voice steady over the speakers, declared, "This is Westridge's shame." Jaden's eyes locked on Ms. Ellis in the crowd, her pride a beacon, and Carter, the janitor, his nod fierce by the sidelines. But the jocks weren't done. Cole's arrest for rigging glass in Jaden's shoes hadn't broken them, and Bryce's glare promised blood. Jaden's ribs ached from the rally's scuffle, but his resolve was iron. He'd run this fight to the end. The rally dissolved into chaos. Hargrove herding students inside, parents cornering him, demanding action. Jaden, Mia, and Ethan regrouped by the track, Ethan clutching his laptop, his glasses fogged. "We did it," he panted, but Mia's eyes darted. "Not yet. Bryce's dad is here." A sleek car idled nearby. Bryce's father, a school donor, stepping out, his face a mask of fury, whispering to Hargrove. Jaden's gut twisted. Power protected power, and his scholarship was a pawn. "Ms. Ellis approached, her voice low. "They'll try to bury this. Jaden, stay strong." He nodded, but Bryce's crew was moving. Slipping through the crowd, their steps deliberate, Jaden signaled Mia and Ethan, and they tailed, sticking to shadows. In the school's rear lot, Bryce and Derek huddled with Mason, free on bail. Their voices low, vicious. "We end him," Bryce growled, pulling a switchblade, its glint chilling. Jaden's heart slammed, but Mia was already filming, her phone hidden. Ethan whispered, "We need this live." They uploaded the clip to Mia's backup stream, the feed catching Bryce's threat, parents' phones pinging with the new evidence. The jocks spun, spotting them, and Bryce charged, blade flashing. Jaden dove, tackling Mia out of the way, the knife grazing his arm. Blood welling, Ethan swung his laptop, cracking Derek's shoulder, forcing him back. Mason lunged, but Mr. Carter appeared, his broom a makeshift staff, jabbing Mason's chest, slowing him. "Enough," Carter roared, his voice thunder, and security guards swarmed, cuffing Bryce and Derek, Mason bolting into the dusk. The crowd buzzed, phones capturing the melee, the truth a tidal wave. Hargrove, red-faced, shouted, "This is a disgrace," but parents turned on him, their voices a chorus, "Resign!" Jaden staggered, his arm bleeding, but Miss Ellis tore her scarf, binding the wound, her voice firm, "You're unstoppable." Jaden, Mia and Ethan stood by him, their faces grim but defiant, the footage spreading, untouchable. That night, Jaden's apartment was a fortress of silence. His mother's shift late, his phone buzzing with Mia's updates, school board's meeting, suspensions pending. But a new email hit Hargrove, summoning Jaden to his office tomorrow. The subject, scholarship review. Jaden's blood ran cold. The fight for justice was costing him his future. He texted Mia and Ethan, their reply instant, "We're with you." The next morning, the school was a storm, students whispering, teachers divided. Hargrove's office was sterile, his voice oily. "You've caused trouble." "Jaden, your scholarship's at risk." Jaden stood tall, his voice steady. "I exposed truth. That's worth more." Hargrove's eyes narrowed, but a knock interrupted Ms. Ellis, with a petition signed by half the school, demanding the jock's expulsion. "The board's watching," she said, her tone sharp. Hargrove flinched, dismissing Jaden, his power slipping. Outside, Mia and Ethan waited, their faces tense. Bryce's dad's pushing back. Mia said, "They're blaming us for faking the footage." Ethan pulled up hacked emails, Bryce's father bribing Hargrove to silence the scandal. Jaden's jaw clenched. The game was rigged. But they weren't out. Track practice was a battleground. Randall Calder, his voice sharp. Focus. Jaden states in 2 weeks Jaden ran, his arm bandaged, his speed a defiance. But teammates were split, some clapped, others sneered, echoing the jock's hate. After practice, Jaden found his locker trashed again, a knife stuck in the door, quit carved into the metal. Bryce was cuffed, but his crew's reach was long. Mr. Carter helped Jaden clean it, his voice soft. You're shaking this place. Son, don't stop. Jaden nodded, but danger was a shadow. That afternoon, Mia called an emergency meet at the library. We've got more footage, she said. Playing a clip Mason last night, meeting a shady figure, trading cash for something hidden. They're planning something big, Ethan said, his hack revealing texts about hitting the track. Jaden's pulse spiked. State championships were coming, and the jocks wanted him out. They planned to plant new cameras, but Ethan's gear was vandalized, his backpack slashed in the tech lab. They're on to us, he muttered. But Mia's voice was steel. We fight harder. Jaden's mind raced. The jocks were wounded, but not broken. And Hargrove's threat loomed. At home, Jaden's mother, exhausted from her shift, hugged him, her voice fierce. You're my champion, Jaden. Don't let them win. Her words burned, and Jaden laced his shoes, the city's pulse a war cry. He linked with Mia and Ethan online. Their plan clear: new cameras, more hacks, and a push to the school board. The footage was their sword, the truth their shield, but Bryce's crew was a hydra, and Jaden was their target. As he ran through drills in his room, his arm throbbing, Jaden knew the state championship was more than a race. It was his stand, and he'd sprint through hell to claim it. Jaden's sneakers pounded the West Ridge High track at dawn, his breath steaming in the crisp air, each stride a defiance against the storm brewing around him. The 16-year-old black sprinter, his arms still bandaged from Bryce's knife, felt the weight of the scandal that had rocked the school. Live-streamed footage exposing the jocks' racist pranks. Now a firestorm threatening his scholarship. Bryce and Derek were suspended, Cole cuffed, but Mason was free. And Bryce's father, a wealthy donor, was pulling strings to bury the truth. Principal Hargrove's threat, your scholarship's at risk, echoed, but Jaden's resolve was iron, fueled by Ms. Ellis's petition and Mr. Carter's quiet strength. Mia and Ethan, his allies, were battered but unbowed, their hacked emails proving Bryce's dad was bribing Hargrove. Tonight, they'd plant new cameras to catch Mason's next move, but the state championship loomed, and Jaden knew the jocks planned to strike. He finished his lap, spotting Mia by the bleachers, her notebook clutched tight, and Ethan, his laptop glowing, both scanning for threats. Mason's meeting someone tonight, Mia whispered, showing a grainy clip of him trading cash in an alley. Ethan's voice was tense. Hacked his phone. They're targeting the track. Jaden's pulse spiked. The jocks wanted him out before state. In the locker room, Jaden's locker was trashed again. A photo of him slashed, dye scrawled in marker. He clenched his fists. But Ms. Ellis's voice cut through. They're desperate. Jaden, you're winning. She handed him a scheduled state trials in 10 days. Focus, she said, her eyes fierce. Jaden nodded, but Bryce's crew was a hydra, and Hargrove's office was their lair. At lunch, the cafeteria buzzed. Students split, some cheered Jaden, others whispered slurs, echoing the jock's hate. A freshman slipped Jaden a note, Jim. Midnight. You were next. Mason's handwriting was clear. Jaden showed Mia and Ethan, their faces grim. We go in, Mia said, her voice steel. New cameras, now. Ethan pulled a micro camera from his bag, its lens tiny but sharp. If we catch Mason, Hargrove can't ignore it. They planned to rig the gym, but danger was a shadow. History class was tense. Bryce's empty seat, a ghost. But a new face, Bryce's cousin, Trent. A transfer jock glared at Jaden, his presence a warning. After class, Trent tripped, his elbow slamming Jaden's back, pain flaring. Watch yourself, Trent hissed, his grin Bryce's echo. Jaden stood, his glare ice, but walked away, his silence a blade. Mr. Carter, sweeping nearby, caught Jaden's eye, his nod steady. "Keep running, son," he said, his voice warm. Jaden's resolve hardened, but the clock was ticking. Track practice was brutal. Coach Randall's shouts relentless. "State's yours, Jaden." "Don't choke," Jaden ran, his speed a rebellion. But teammates were fractured, some nodded, others sneered. After practice, Jaden found his water bottle tampered, a bitter taste on the rim. He spat it out, his gut churning, and Mr. Carter, nearby, frowned. "Check everything, son," he warned, helping Jaden dump the bottle. The jock's reach was long, and Jaden's guard was up. That evening, Jaden, Mia, and Ethan met behind the gym. The school dark, the air heavy. Ethan rigged a camera in a gym vent, its feed live to Mia's phones to none. But footsteps echoed Mason, early, with Trent, their voices low, plotting. "We rigged the track for state," Mason growled, holding a bag of metal spikes. Jaden's blood ran cold. They planned to sabotage the championship. The trio hid behind bleachers, Jaden's bike chain in hand, Mia filming, Ethan's hands shaking. Mason paused, his eyes scanning the vent, suspicion flaring. "Something's off," he muttered, climbing toward the camera. Jaden acted, tossing a rock across the gym, the clatter pulling Mason's gaze. "Damn kids," Trent cursed, and they left. The camera safe, the footage gold. The trio slipped out, panting, the evidence a ticking bomb. At home, Jaden's mother, back from her shift, hugged him tight. "I saw the video, Jaden. I'm proud," she said, her voice fierce. "But be careful." Jaden nodded, his arm throbbing, and linked with Mia and Ethan online. The new footage showed Mason's plan spikes on the track, a crash to end Jaden's career. Ethan hacked Trent's text, confirming the plot. "We take this to the board," Mia said, but Jaden knew Hargrove would twist it. "We need more," he said, his voice steady. The next morning, the school was a battlefield, students chanting for justice, others loyal to Bryce's crew. Hargrove called Jaden to his office, his tone slick. "Drop this, or you're out." Jaden stood tall, his voice sharp. "Truth's out." "You can't stop it." Hargrove's face darkened. "But Miss," Ellis burst in, with Mr. Carter holding a new petition, parent is demanding an investigation. "The board's voting tonight," Ellis said, her eyes blazing. Hargrove recoiled, his power crumbling. Outside, Mia and Ethan waited, their faces tense. "Mason's crew hit my lab," Ethan said, his gear trashed again. Mia showed a new clip Mason meeting Bryce's dad, passing cash. "They're buying silence," she said, but Jaden's eyes gleamed. "We'll be louder." Track practice was a gauntlet. Randall colder, his voice harsh. "Don't let drama kill your shot." Jaden ran, his speed a vow, but Trent was there, slipping, his knee grazing Jaden's shin, blood trickling. Jaden staggered but stood, his glare silencing Trent's laugh. Mr. Carter helped Jaden clean the wound, his voice firm. "You're close, son. Finish it." That night, Jaden's phone buzzed a new video, his sprint with slurs dubbed over, Mason's signature clear. Rage boiled, but Mia's text cut through boards leaning our way. New cameras ready. Jaden's apartment was a war room, his mother's words echoing, "You're my champion." He laced his shoes. The state championship a horizon, the fight for justice his track. Mia and Ethan's plan was set more footage, a boardroom push, and a stand at state. The jocks were wounded, but their venom was alive, and Jaden was ready to outrun it all. Jaden's sneakers dug into the state championship track, the stadium lights blazing like 1,000 suns, the roar of the crowd a heartbeat in his ears. The 16-year-old black sprinter, his arms scarred from Bryce's knife, led Westridge High's team, his eyes locked on the 400-meter finish line. Coach Randall paced the sidelines, his shouts greedy. Win this, Jaden, or you're nothing but Jaden ran for more for every kid crushed by hate, for the truth exposed in Mia's viral footage, for his mother's pride. The jocks scandal Bryce, Cole, and Derek suspended. Mason on the run had shaken the school, but their venom lingered, and Jaden knew they'd strike today. Mia and Ethan, his allies, were in the stands. Mia's phone ready to stream, Ethan's hacked text warning of Mason's plan to sabotage the track. Ms. Ellis and Carter watched, their nods a quiet strength. But Principal Hargrove's presence, flanked by Bryce's donor dad, was a dark cloud. Jaden's scholarship hung by a thread, but his spirit was unbreakable. The relay team stretched beside him, their trust hard-earned, forged through weeks of standing against the jocks' hate. The starter's pistol cracked, and Jaden exploded. His strides a storm, passing the baton flawlessly, his team surging, but danger was a shadow Mason, spotted by Ethan, lurked near the water station, his hands on a cooler. Jaden signaled Mia, who zoomed her camera, catching Mason slipping a powder into the team's drinks, his face clear. Ethan sprinted to Mr. Carter, who swapped the cooler before Jaden's team drank, his voice low. Got him, son! The crowd cheered, oblivious, but Jaden's pulse raced. Mason was a viper, and the track was his lair. The 400-meter final loomed, Jaden versus a rival from Easton High, coached by Randall's old mentor, who'd sneered, "Your boy's a fluke." Jaden lined up, his starting blocks gleaming. But Trent, Bryce's cousin, now on Easton's team, grinned from the next lane, his presence a taunt. The gun fired, and Jaden flew, his legs a blur, Trent matching him, their strides a duel. Halfway, Trent slipped, his elbow grazing Jaden's ribs, pain flaring. But Jaden held firm, rounding the curve. The crowd roared, but Mia's stream caught a glint, Mason, by the track's edge, tossing metal spikes, their tips glinting under lights. Jaden leaped, dodging, his rhythm unbroken, but a teammate stumbled, blood welling from his foot. Mr. Carter dove, clearing the spikes, security swarming Mason, cuffing him as he cursed. You're dead, Jaden. The stadium gasped, phones flashing, Mia's feed broadcasting the sabotage. The truth a wildfire. Jaden pushed harder, his lungs burning, Trent fading, the finish line a beacon. He crossed first, 46.2 seconds, a state record, the crowd erupting, teammates mobbing him, lifting him high. Randall pumped a fist, but Jaden's eyes found Miss Ellis, her smile fierce, and Mr. Carter, his nod proud. Mia's voice boomed over the speakers. This is for every kid underestimated. She played the sabotage clip, Mason's face clear, the crowd booing, parents demanding justice. Hargrove, pale, tried to speak, but Bryce's dad stormed out, his influence ash. Jaden stood on the podium, gold medal heavy, dedicating it to every kid told they don't belong. The stadium thundered, his team chanting his name. The truth a crown, but the fight wasn't over. As medals were awarded, Trent slipped through the crowd, a knife glinting in his hand, aiming for Jaden's back. Ethan, alert, tackled him, the blade skittering, security pouncing. Trent's curses faded, his transfer a failed revenge. Mia filmed, her stream spiking, the jock's empire crumbling. Hargrove approached, his voice weak. You've made your point, Jaden. Jaden met his gaze, his voice steady. No, I've made history. Ms. Ellis clapped, Mr. Carter grinned, and the crowd cheered, their respect a fortress. That night, Jaden's apartment was alive, his mother hugging him, tears in her eyes. You're my hero, she said, her voice fierce. Mia and Ethan joined, their faces glowing, showing a school board email full investigation launched. Hargrove on leave, Jocks facing hate crime charges. Jaden's scholarship was safe. The petition from Ms. Ellis and parents a shield. The next day, practice was electric. Randall subdued, his greed tempered. Jaden ran, his team united, their strides a vow. Mr. Carter handed him a clean towel, his voice warm. You changed this place, son. Ms. Ellis pulled Jaden aside, her eyes bright. You've started something bigger than you know. Mia sent a new clip, community leaders praising Jaden, calling for reform. But danger lingered. A note slipped into Jaden's bag. You'll pay unsigned. But the jock's shadow loomed. Ethan's hack traced it to a burner phone, likely Trent's. Jaden's jaw clenched, but Mia's voice was steel. We're ready. They planned to rig cameras at the school board meeting, catching any final moves by Bryce's allies. The state victory was Jaden's, but the war for justice was a marathon. At home, Jaden's mother cooked his favorite meal, her laughter a balm. You're unstoppable, she said, and Jaden grinned, his metal gleaming. He linked with Mia and Ethan, their bond iron. Their plan set expose the last of the Jocks network, secure the school's future. The championship was a milestone, but Jaden's race was for every kid like him, and he'd run it to the end. He laced his shoes, the city's pulse his rhythm, the track his battlefield, ready to sprint through fire for truth. Jaden's sneakers hugged the Westridge High track, the morning sun casting long shadows as he led his team through drills, their strides a symphony of unity. The 16-year-old black sprinter, his arms scarred but healing, carried the weight of his state championship gold, a victory dedicated to every kid underestimated. The Jocks scandal Bryce, Cole, Derek, and Mason facing hate crime charges. Principal Hargrove on leave had transformed the school, but a final threat lingered. A note in Jaden's bag, you'll pay. Mia and Ethan, his unshakable allies, had traced it to a burner phone, likely Trent's, and tonight's school board meeting was their chance to end the Jocks' reign for good. Ms. Ellis and Mr. Carter, their quiet strength of backbone, had rallied parents for reform, and Jaden's scholarship was secure, but the fight for justice was a marathon, and he was ready to sprint its final lap. Mia met him by the bleachers, her notebook brimming, eyes fierce, boards voting on expulsion and a new principal. She said, Ethan, clutching a new microcamera, added, we're rigging the meeting room. If Trent or Bryce's dad try anything, we'll catch it. Jaden nodded, his jaw tight. The state title was his, but dignity was his crown, and he'd defend it. In history class, Ms. Ellis announced a school-wide inclusion program, her voice electric. You started this, Jaden, she whispered, her smile proud. Trent's empty seat was a ghost, but Jaden felt his shadow, the Jocks' venom a fading but potent sting. At lunch, the cafeteria buzzed, students chanting Jaden's name, but a few glared, loyal to Bryce's crew. A freshman slipped Jaden a USB Maya's documentary, weaving his story from the hallway standoff to the championship win, ready for tonight's meeting. Jaden grinned, the truth a weapon. Track practice was a crucible. Coach Randall subdued, his greed humbled by Jaden's stand. You're a leader, kid, he muttered. A rare nod. Jaden ran, his team tight, their relay a vow of solidarity. Mr. Carter swept nearby, handing Jaden a water bottle, his voice warm. Finish strong, son. Jaden nodded, but a glint by the track caught his eye, a metal spike, half buried. Trent's calling card. He kicked it free, signaling Ethan, who swept the track, finding two more. They're desperate, Ethan said, his hack confirming Trent's burner was active nearby. Jaden's pulse spiked. The board meeting was hours away, and Trent was circling. That evening, Jaden, Mia, and Ethan slipped into the school's conference room, the air heavy with polish and power. Ethan rigged cameras and vents. Their feeds lived to Mia's laptop, while Jaden stood guard, his bike chain tucked in his belt. Footsteps echoed Bryce's dad, with a school board member, their voices low, plotting, bury the charges, or funding's cut. The donor hissed, passing an envelope. Mia filmed, her breath shallow, the evidence gold. Ethan's hack caught a text from Trent outside. Ready. Jaden's heart slammed. The meeting was a trap. They slipped out, spotting Trent in the lot, a crowbar in hand, smashing Ethan's bike, his face twisted. You're done, Trent roared, charging Jaden, the crowbar swinging. Jaden dodged, his track reflexes sharp, tripping Trent with a low sweep, sending him sprawling. Mia filmed, Ethan grabbing the crowbar, but Trent lunged, a knife flashing. Mr. Carter appeared, his broom jabbing Trent's chest, slowing him. Back off, Carter barked, and security swarmed, cuffing Trent, his curses fading. The crowd outside buzzed, parents filming, the truth a tidal wave. The board meeting erupted as Mia's stream played the donor's bribe and Trent's attack. The room gasping, board members paling. Ms. Ellis stood, her voice steel. Expel them. Reform now. Parents cheered. The vote unanimous. Bryce's crew expelled. Hate crime charges sealed. A new principal promised. Bryce's dad stormed out. His influence ash. Hargrove's legacy dust. Jaden stood tall. His team behind him. Their applause a fortress. Months later, Jaden led Westridge to another title. His relay team unbreakable. Their medals a shared crown. The inclusion program, led by Mrs. and Mr. Carter, was a beacon, training students to fight bias. Mia's documentary won a National Student Film Award, her voice a rallying cry. Jaden's mother beamed at the ceremony, her hug fierce. You changed the world. Jaden, she said, tears shining. The jocks, humbled, issued public apologies. Their futures tied to courtrooms, their power gone. Jaden received a full college scholarship from a top university, his track career a horizon. At the school's spring assembly, Jaden took the stage, his gold medal gleaming, his voice clear. This is for every kid told they're less, he said, lifting the trophy, the crowd roaring, teammates mobbing him, Mia and Ethan grinning, Ms. Ellis and Mr. Carter clapping. The school was new lockers clean, halls alive, hate's shadow fading. That night, Jaden's apartment was a celebration, his mother cooking, Mia and Ethan joking, their bond eternal. A letter arrived to track sponsor, offering Jaden a pro deal, his dream in reach. He laced his sneakers, the city's pulse his rhythm, and ran, the track his canvas, his story a legacy. The jocks were history, their hate a lesson, and Jaden's dignity was a light, burning bright for every kid like him. He sprinted, the wind his ally, the future his finish line, and crossed it, unstoppable. He outran hate, exposed racists, and led his team to glory, proving respect trumps all. Thanks for watching, like, share, and subscribe with notifications on to never miss our next inspiring story.